Some people think kindness is weakness, but I turned it into revenge. I was halfway through my second drink when I heard the laughter. It was sharp, loud, and unmistakably cruel. I looked up, and there he was. My dad, standing on the stage, clutching a crumpled piece of paper, trying to give a toast at my cousin's engagement party, and they were laughing at him. Let me take you back a bit. My name's Noah, I'm 26, and if there's one thing you should know about my dad, it's that he's not the kind of man people notice. He's quiet, polite, the kind who holds doors open and remembers your dog's name. He's also the black sheep of our family. Not rich, not loud, just kind, which, in my family, is practically a crime. The party was extravagant, a 5-star ballroom, champagne towers, custom lighting, even a string quartet, all for Ethan, my cousin, who's about as charming as a wet sock but has money from some crypto startup that probably doesn't even exist. My dad asked if he could say a few words. A toast, maybe a short blessing. He walked up nervously, holding his handwritten note, glasses slipping down his nose. He started strong, but then, he paused. Fumbled a word, mispronounced the bride's name, tried to recover, but stumbled again. That's when it began. Ethan chuckled. Aunt Marlene rolled her eyes. Uncle Jason, full-blown laughter. I watched, frozen, as the room erupted into mockery. Someone muttered, "Who let the janitor talk?" Another said, "He thinks he's in a church or something." My dad stopped mid-sentence, looked around, gave a tiny smile, the kind you wear when you're trying not to cry, and walked off stage, silent. No one clapped, no one helped, no one cared, not even me, and I hate that part the most. Later that night, I found him on the balcony, alone, staring out at the city skyline like it held the answers he'd never get to ask. He turned to me and said quietly, "Maybe I shouldn't have spoken." That broke me, because here's the truth. My dad was never the problem. The family was. So I decided to burn it all down. Not with fire, with truth. I started with Uncle Jason, the man who laughed the loudest. The same man who embezzled money from my grandfather's estate years ago, but covered it up with a fake investment loss. I still had the paperwork. Old files, invoices, the real ones and the doctored ones. I leaked them anonymously to a local financial blogger. He ran a story the next day. Prominent realtor under scrutiny for missing family funds. That got everyone's attention. Then I moved on to Aunt Marlene. She once reported my dad to child services when I was 10. Said he was emotionally unstable. All because he didn't show up to her birthday dinner. But guess what? She's been using a fake charity foundation to get tax breaks. I found the filings, sent them to the IRS tip line. Audit initiated. I didn't stop there. Ethan, golden boy, had more skeletons than a Halloween store. Fake university degree, paid for followers, oh, and a text thread where he called his fiance's mama cash cow. I sent that one straight to the bride's sister. Within 24 hours, the wedding was off. Suddenly the string quartet wasn't playing anymore. Meanwhile, my dad, still the same, still packing lunches for mom, still helping the elderly neighbor take her trash out every Tuesday, still quietly wondering if he'd done something wrong at that party. He hadn't. They had. A few weeks later, the family tried to have a healing dinner. You know, one of those fake gatherings where everyone pretends nothing happened. They invited us to a sleek restaurant with private booths and uncomfortable small talk. My dad wore his best shirt. Same old shoes. Still smiling. We arrived, sat down, and that's when Uncle Jason said, "We should all move on. No grudges." I leaned forward and said, "I'm not holding a grudge. I'm holding receipts. You should have seen their faces." I pulled out a small USB drive and dropped it on the table. "Noah," Aunt Marlene began. I cut her off. "You laughed at the only decent man in this family. You mocked him for being kind, for being nervous, for being real. But now, you're the punchline." Silence. My dad reached for my hand under the table, squeezed it once, didn't say a word. He didn't have to. They tried damage control, deleted posts, made vague apologies, but the cracks were permanent. Uncle Jason lost clients. Aunt Marlene, fine. Ethan, radio silent since the wedding fell apart. My dad, though, people started noticing him, inviting him, respecting him, and for once, he belonged. I asked him one night, "Did you ever want revenge?" He shook his head. "Revenge is heavy, son. But truth, that travels light. So here's the truth. Kindness isn't weakness. Silence isn't ignorance. And some people, they only learn the hard way. When the quiet ones finally speak." My dad didn't change. I just made the world see him clearly, and that was enough.